I'm John Lovato Jr., and I'm part of a community of passionate firefighters who take ownership. We don't sit around waiting for experience, and we don't rely on our department for professional development. You see, we understand that the more we invest in ourselves, the better off our career and our lives are going to be. Because we are influencing people as opposed to forcing them, people who have never been taught the benefits of being into the job, we have to do things differently. We know what works because it's been modeled by great firefighters before us. It's just not understood by all, so we have to put ourselves out there to be judged. Put yourself out there, ignore the naysayers. They tell you you're doing the impossible, yet it works. Being in the job is actually what builds morale and performance. We are culture changers. We are bringing back the senior man culture. We are Brotherhood Coaching. Welcome to another episode of the Brotherhood Coaching Show. This week, if you guys, I don't know if you caught the blog post first, but I talked about keeping members interested and motivated with low call volume. I get this question a lot in the group. Now, my station, we don't have a problem with the low call volume. However, what we do have, we have a lot more medical calls than we do the fire calls. So I kind of compare the two with that as far as keeping the guys engaged for the fire stuff, even though we just run a lot of medical for the most part. So when it comes down to it, we got to focus on the basics. Focus on the basics and build up on those. And I talk a little bit about it, but mostly what I focus on is just good hose line deployment and hose line management. And we start touching on ladders and all those other items. But it goes down to, why'd you become a fireman? Probably to do fireman things, right? So the more we do those things, the happier we feel with it. And it's always good to concentrate on the basics, because as you build those basic skills, they become more advanced. Because guess what? A guy that pulls a line once a year performs like a guy that pulls a line once a year. If you want to be proficient with it, you got to do it multiple times and on a regular basis, and then you start elevating the complexity of it. Like, hey, all right, now we've got to have 2 cars in the way. Pull the line to this doorway here. Just little things you can do to make it a little bit more of a challenge, because at the end of the day, we need challenges. We need challenges to feel satisfaction. If you're just laying around, not doing anything, there's no satisfaction with being status quo and not being challenged. Some of the most miserable people are the ones that just kind of exist. They're not working on anything. They don't have a mission they're working on. They're just kind of there maybe to do as little as possible, and there's a correlation with that. If you're just sitting around doing a little as possible, not having that mission, you're not going to be as engaged as the guys that are trying to challenge themselves and push themselves to accomplish certain things. And that's actually where that happiness switch happens, is actually doing the job with it. So what you need to do is just do the work, get out and sweat. And I'm going to tell you guys, when I had to experience this, kind of gave me the aha with it, was back when I was an engineer. Our rescue truck was shut down, so our engine was just running. And on calls, I would kind of step back and let the firemen take care of patient care, because when I was a fireman, I was also the medic, so I was always doing everything, and I was kind of letting them do it. Well, my company officer pulled me aside and said, hey, I'd like you to take a more active role on these calls. And what I was doing was I was supposed to, because I was kind of following his lead too. He was taking a step back too. And I said, okay. I said, I understand what you said. He's like, hey, you're setting an example for the guys, whatever. I said, sure. Well, lo and behold, I didn't realize this, but I was becoming more and more less engaged when I was just kind of taking that back seat. As I was getting more involved in the calls and getting my hands in there, I started enjoying a little bit more, because I was actually doing the job that I've trained for most of my life. And after I saw that, so to this day, what I do is, even on call, you might see me grabbing a blood pressure, getting a blood sugar. One day I had a bunch of meetings in the morning, and I was so frustrated that I told the guys, hey, let's go out, pick a building, and I was going to be the one to pull the lines. I pulled them, I still had my firemen do it, but pulling lines out on the ground, doing firefighter functions, that's actually, what's going to make you enjoy it more. So if you're only doing it once a month, guys are going to get complacent with it and just kind of like, we're not going to do it anyways, what's the big deal? But if you're constantly challenging yourself and pushing yourself, there's just this sense of satisfaction from overcoming the challenge. It's very similar. One of my guys kind of relates our training to working out. He dreads doing it, but afterwards, he just feels so much better and accomplished. And those two are one and the same with it. There's a reason I work out every morning. It actually gives me more energy throughout the day. And same thing with training. I try to knock that out early in the morning with the guys. And that's kind of like the secret ingredient with it. And try and do something every day. it doesn't have to be crazy, kind of dictate how your day goes. There's some days we might just sit around and watch a YouTube video with it, depending on the call volume we had or other activities. But I try and touch on something with it. I'm still critiquing my training plan because, let's face it, the one our departments give, that's kind of the basics. If we want to rise above minimum standards, then it's going to be up to us to come up with our own real training plan for it. So I'm still critiquing mine, getting it set, because I need to incorporate a lot more medical with it, because we're not challenging ourselves with some of that. But to really bring it all together, not only doing the work, doing something every day, but make sure you're having fun. Make sure you're having fun with whatever you're doing, because when you have fun, it's not work, right? Enjoy it, have a good time, make a game out of it. When you gamify things, people enjoy it more. There's a challenge with it. We did a radio drill, and I was not looking forward to it because I just was like, man, I don't know how to make this interesting. Well, I split the guys up into pairs, and we had one guy had to go describe a room, the other one had to draw it on the whiteboard, and whoever did the best job won. And they might have had to buy us some Italian ice or something like that. I don't remember what the bet was. But the guys actually got something. They actually said, hey, this is actually pretty good training, and I saw them trying more, because who wants to lose? Nobody wants to lose. Everyone wants to win. So when you gamify things, you automatically increase a little bit of the engagement and the excitement of it. So hope you got something out of this week's episode. Do me a favor, if you did, share it out with someone else. The whole point is to get these messages out there to help you guys on your daily efforts. And otherwise, I will talk to you guys next week.